Good afternoon, WSSEA. We are back with week 2 of Splatoon 3. We got Lakeside returning, going up against Mountlake, Terrace. Once again, I'm Spicy, joined on the mic here with Neptune. How are we doing today?
We are doing fantastic. But before we get into the meat and potatoes of today's cast, we have to give a huge shout out to Zotac Gaming for powering today's stream. Thanks to their incredible support, we're able to bring you this broadcast to all of you, lovely folks at home, helping showcase the amazing talent in Scholastic Esports. You can show your appreciation for Zotac Game by giving them a shout out on social media. Make sure to join their community on Discord, and don't forget to add the hashtag powered by Zotac or hashtag Zotac USA when you post.
Yeah, always got to give a huge shout out to Dota Gaming for really being such a great benefactor, making all these things here with the possible pretty much. And speaking of talent, we got quite a bit of it here. We got Lakeside. We just saw them again last week. Had a bit of a rough one, so they're still looking for their first win. We got Mountlake Terrace, a team who had a bye in week 1, so they're looking for their first win and basically in their first game of the season. So two teams, a lot to play for here in week 2.
Yeah, for sure. Week 2 is always an exciting time because it's still in that early phase right here.
Mhm.
Hey, even though you had defeat last week, hey, you're still running it back. You learned more from week 1, especially in the case of Lakeside here. But hey, this is your debut match if you're Mountlake, so you're having quite a lot of pressure going on as well coming into this game here. And I believe they won the coin flip as well, so they get to choose the map mode, which I believe is going to be Rainmaker Crableg Capital for starters here, Spicy.
Yeah, interesting map mode selection, because obviously the modes are
Mhm.
locked in with the WSSEA rule sets. We're going to start off with Rainmaker, then go Zones, Tower, and then Clam and Turf War if necessary. But the team who wins the coin flip is able to pick the opening map. And Crabwood Capital is such an interesting selection here when
Mm.
it comes to Rainmaker. Like, when you think Rainmaker, we see a lot of like Scorch Gorges, we see Undertow, we'll see Humpback a lot. I know last week we saw Manta Maria as like a pretty much a niche counter pick come out, but Crab Leg, especially to start off not only the set but your first game this season, really interesting selection here from Outlet Terrace.
Yeah, for sure. Crab leg, as you alluded to earlier before, is like not very common nowadays, right? Typically, you see more usual bit picks like Undertow and Humpback here as well. But
Mhm.
opting for crab leg, which is a very wide map, there's very little cover in mid. Oftentimes, you have anchors, long range weapons like chargers or splatlanes just patrolling those gray areas as well, and allowing your teammates to be able to push up by just basically you just covering the open sight lines of the map mode there as well. So I think this might be in the favor where Mountainside might have how do I say it? The advantage if they do have one of those players here as well. But I can also see Lakeside trying to take advantage of the gray areas as well, because last time I checked, I think they did have I believe Reef Slider and Reef Slider across grades. Sounds like a deadly combination here.
It really is, especially when you consider that, like, with all the grades, one of the biggest things is the limited movement that you have,
Mhm.
especially in a game like Splatoon, where movement is pretty much everything along with paint. So to have great limited movement, have a special like Reef Slider, which just goes through everything, pretty much goes over everything, and it just makes it so much easier to navigate things like this. I'm really interested to see this also, because Crab Leg is a map with some notable verticality, especially towards the end and around also on mid. And I know we saw Manta Maria get selected by Lakeside last week for Rainmaker. Obviously, it made a lot of sense on paper, it just didn't end up playing out the way we wanted. So I know with game 2 of last week being Rainmaker, it was really quick for against Lakeside, where they ended up losing very quickly. So I'm wondering what adjustments they're making going into next week, now that they have more time to practice, more time to adjust. And also now they have probably have a more
Mm.
established Rainmaker gameplay.
Yeah, for sure. I feel like Rainmaker is one of those more, how do I say, chaotic modes, I guess, to start off with, because at the end of the day, what matters is whoever gets the fish furthest to the second checkpoint there as well. You obviously do need to clear the first checkpoint and then push once again, so there's a little bit of that breathing
Mhm.
time as well. But nothing's really stopping you from going forward as the Rainmaker carrier, aside from the physical bodies and the paint that's being put around you as well. So yeah, it's an interesting dynamic here, and we saw dynamics last week where I believe it was Lakeside trying to find ways to defend on Manta Maria, but due to the map terrain, it made it almost very difficult to be able to push back in and survive. It was just so much pressure being put on each of the individual players here as well. So you have, how do I say it? just a lot on the line here, and it's game one. Like I don't know how else to describe it, Spicy.
No, that's a good way to put it because if we're being honest, like it's a relatively short set here at WSSEA where it is best of five,
Hmm.
first to three games takes the entire match. And like nowadays, you'll see a lot of like best of seven, best of nine in like the league formats. But to see best of five here, it is really much a short set. You know how fast some of these games go in Splatoon,
Hmm.
especially Rainmaker, a mode with a lot of volatility, especially after the checkpoints fall, and then it could just be a straight shot to the ending podium. So, with not a lot of time, with a lot to play for, a lot on the line, both these
Right.
teams looking for a win, it's going to be a pretty exciting game, I would imagine, before we even get into it.
Yeah, for sure. I believe the players are getting their way into the lobby as well. But in the meantime, I guess I want to talk a little bit more about weapons here as well. I'm trying to
Hmm.
remember more from Lakeside's comp. So I remember seeing the arrow spray as well, and then double arrow spray for turf war, right, as well. There were some other odd weapon picks as well. I believe there was a dualies as well. So, that's
I
a
believe
spec cam
so.
favorite here. Yeah, that's a spec cam favorite here as well. Being able to use dodge rolls and utilize them to both get in and out of cover really quickly to try and splat your opponents before they splat you. And then, of course, the splashdown, just that quick, how do I say it, ability to just burst out onto and three fists around and large area to whether it's affecting the objective, that object damage can help shred the Rainmaker shield, because oftentimes after a Rainmaker push finishes, the shield is still up there, right? And being able to use your special to just instantly pop it and keep up your push is something I think could be critical for Lakeside here.
I would imagine, yeah, especially because they're very aware of how fast games can go in Rainmaker, and it is probably a good thing here for Lakes that already have that kind of experience. They've also had their season under their belt as well back in 2024 fall, so they do have some things going for them as well. Speaking about weapons, I remember Lakeside's comps, generally speaking, were like very balanced overall. It's like one of the nice things
Yes.
you see, like even in a 3v3 format you see a lot of like just designated roles, I guess, being played here, where you have like a mix of range weapons with the front and then like some kind of support with everyone being able to have that kind of flexibility. A lot of like mature knowledge is probably prevalent here on the side of
Mhm.
Lakeside. The execution maybe was not always up to par, but hey, we could practice some better adjustments. Maybe that comes through here. So I'm excited to see how that goes through. This is also going to be the first week where we see tower control. Now it went from game 4, which didn't happen last week, to now being a mandatory game 3. So I'm excited to get into that in the future.
Oh yeah, for sure. Tower Control not being played last week, I feel like was a little bit of a, how do I say it? It saddened me just a little bit because I think Tower Control is great. I think it's unique. It's
Mhm.
very fun. It's a dynamic in the game that you don't really necessarily get to see a lot of time because, how do I say it? You need to babysit the objective, right? Sure, the
Right?
Rainmaker is like can move freely at its own will. Like you could choose when to push the rain. You could choose when to, how do I say it, push up or like back up and fire some shots to be able to survive, right? But on tower control, you have to commit to riding that tower one way or another. Otherwise, the game does not proceed. You do not score points on the on the objective there, compared to something like zones where it's just stationary in the middle, or the Rainmaker, as I was talking about earlier. So, yeah, I feel a very committal mode where you have to
Mhm.
commit to the fact that, okay, the tower is going this way. I need to play this area of the map, and then play around how the enemies are going to defend it here as well. So, yeah, that's something that's just scratching my brain, itching, and I'm just burning with excitement to see.
Honestly, yeah, it's so exciting to have that. It's just getting a chance to hopefully see other modes too. If we end up having like if both teams get a game here early on, that means we're also guaranteed going to Clan Blitz for the first time, at least on stream. And that'd be really exciting. Big fan of watching Clan Blitz in
Mm.
like any competitive format, at least as a spectator, because like, you see a lot of different insights. So when we have tower control, hopefully Clan Blitz as well, we're gonna be able to provide a lot of that insight. But here we are. It looks like we're loading on now. About to get into Crab Leg Rainmaker as our first game, first mode. Real excited to see what do we got here from both of these teams in terms of opening weapons, comps, especially here to kick off this set.
Yeah, for sure. Looking at these weapons, I see a heavy edit Splatling taking the field here. If there is a weapon that's going to take advantage of these greats in the map terrain as well, it's going to be that one here as well. Meanwhile, we have double Splatana, I believe, on the side of Lakeside, so let's see how this goes, Spicy.
Yeah, I'm excited to see who gets his opening pop here. Two down immediately from the side of Lakeside, though. Unfortunately, they're in the blue as the Bravo. And now it's a matter of seeing what are they going to be able to do here. They're doing a solid job of just at least preventing Mountlake Terrace from getting the opening pop there. But here we are. We're pushing left side, trying to see what we're going to be able to get. It's just Rye as the defense. So Machina is going to be able to, along with the rest of their team, start getting some picks and then push this Rainmaker even more forward.
Yeah, for sure. I see this Decapitator is close to its big bubbler here as well. So if it is able to set it up here, it's going to be quite a bit of points to be able to run forward, but never mind. The members of Lakeside are going to try and dive and stop the Rainmaker, but at what cost? They're not going to be there any more second as quickly Mountlake just quickly he goes up there, knocks it out. Hardly a minute played there, and it just beautiful execution to take game number 1 there, Spicy.
Yeah, like quintessential. That is just what Rainmaker really can be defined as here. Where it's such a fast game mode, and if you find the advantage, you're able to get a lot of points here. You knew that Mountlake Terrace approached this knowing that this was the one they wanted off of the coin flip, and everything makes sense now. Just watching that happen, like that went by so fast, and like nothing really was able to be done from the side of Lakeside there. It felt like.
Yeah, for sure. I saw Lakeside contesting that pop immediately because, how do I say it? Something that they ran was double Splatanas. So the Splatana Wiper and the Splatana Stamper both have very good object damage to be able to shred that shield and perhaps start the push as well. However, Mountlake just completely contested that and shut down the swords individually and worked together to be able to swap the pop in their favor and then swing on the left-hand side of the map so quickly, so fast that it was just almost impossible to respond to there, Spicy.
It really was here, and I feel like the positioning overall from Mountlake Terrace and coordination was just on point in that game as well. I'm thinking back to one not only just securing the pop, but also winning those team fights early on and then right again after taking that first checkpoint. So really great stuff from them just overall. We did just get word about what the next map mode combination is going to be. Splat Zones was the mode locked in for game 2, and we are going to Ship-Shaped Cargo as the map.
Oh boy, Ship-Shaped Cargo Splat Zones. Okay, so a lot of colorful opinions from a lot of different players is what I like to call this, because Ship-Shape is a map where it's very, very difficult to retake a lot of the times, and because typically most of the times when setting up defense, a lot of the defending team, right, just has a lot of opportunities just to perch up on the high ground areas, as well as force the enemy team to make plays that are very risky, for lack of a better word, and that will allow them to be able to quickly knock out here. So I'm curious to see, will this be another one of those situations where a knockout occurs, or is it going to be a more dynamic back and forth? Because it is Splat Zones, you have to contest mid.
For sure, yeah. I'm trying to see what we got comp-wise. A couple notable changes here. We see the swap to normal heavy splatling as well as gold arrow spray from the side of Mountlake Terrace. And the X-Flow comes in from the side of Lakeside. What are your thoughts on these comps so far?
Yeah, for sure. I'm really liking the shake up here from Mountlake here, just quickly opting for way more paint and control and stuff that's able to get it special very quickly. This arrow spray already has a Booyah Bomb ready to chuck and throw to start something here, but it's getting contested by the X-Glow, who's going to splash down the zone here. It's back and forth, neck and neck. No one has quite yet get splatted. Oh my goodness, Splatana is already down, and you see another splash down back to back here, Spicy.
Yeah, I noticed there's 2 splashdowns in play from the side of Lakeside, being with the Expo as well as the Splat Zone. So you have those just powerful options there, especially with how small this Splat Zone is. And unfortunately for them, it might just not be enough, because Mountlake Terrace, especially here with this heavy, is just doing so much work here. Up, perch up top, able to pretty much anchor the entire team here. We're already going to be past the 60 at this point now, and we're looking like we're going to even get past the 50 here. Great stuff here from Mountlake Terrace.
Yeah, for sure. I see a hammer already online here to hopefully pop, but never mind. The Decapitator uses a bubble in response,
Oh,
but a splashdown comes out in response. You're trading for trades, but it's a rich get richer situation as Mountlake still has control of the zone here. There's only going to be 20 ticks left here, Spicy. Let's finish this.
yeah, it's a matter of seeing, can they hold on here? And that's one pick, and that's so crucial. They have the Booyah Bomb ready as well. But by the time we're ticking in, the dagger is gonna seal the deal as
Oh.
Mountlake Terrace with the wipeout at the end is going to be at match point already.
Oh man, Mountlake taking the driver's seat here in this set 2-0, playing the matchup just beautifully here. Even though this mid scramble was very difficult, once they got control, they held it beautifully. They're not allowing anyone or anything to get near that splat zone, nearly going 100-0 to be able to take a convincing game at number 2 here, Spicy.
Yeah, great stuff here from Mountlake Terrace. And as you mentioned, they had to kind of fight their way through it, at least in the beginning. But they had some just great overall positioning, which made them just really stand out. We saw what the Heavy was doing, and the rest of the team was able to play off of that, able to just protect the zone, not only from within, but also up far. And kind of just forcing Lakeside to kind of stagger in, always basically playing at a numbers disadvantage. So Mountlake Terrace being in that power play essentially the entire time, they were just able to mow down those points, and that's just so crucial to do when we have splat zones. So we are going to go into tower control, a mode where it is maybe arguably slower, at least in terms of you have to follow a more linear pace. But here, let's see what happens here. Mako Mart has the counter pick now from Lakeside.
Yeah, for sure. We're locking in these comps really quick. These players don't want to wait any longer than we do to see these matches here as we get into match point here for game number 3, tower control on Mako Mart. We see some similarities, but a paintbrush up here on Mountlake side, while we see double dually terror on the side of Lakeside.
That is crazy here, because from the side of Lakeside, we were thinking about how tower may be a slower mode for them. Not at all. We are going super aggressive here with double dualies. It is going to take out Rex Machina now on that paintbrush, who has already been picked out. But having this splatling here from the side of Mountlake Terrace, so pivotal for them as they're already starting to push this tower. Now a matter of seeing what are we going to be able to do as Lakeside trying to rush in towards that tower as well. But 2 gets mowed down, and you have the wave breaker already ready as well as Machina now here on this tower as they break past that first checkpoint.
Yeah, for sure. I really love this paintbrush pick right here. Just completely shutting down any chance the dualies have of being able to approach, because this paintbrush is putting up so much AoE in front of them, getting so many splats and just riding this tower freely. If nothing doesn't happen soon, this might be a knockout, especially with the wipeout.
Yet another wipe, and we are already in single-digit points. It's one last stop, but the bubble is perched on the tower, and Mountlake Terrace wants to go home early. That is a quick 3-0 sweep, and they have looked so good here in their first game.
Unbelievable. What a debut here for Mountlake Terrace. Just immediately coming right out of the gate swinging, not only on the scoreboard, but with that paintbrush, immediately securing so many picks right there. I also got to give a shout out to the Decapitator as well as the Heavy Splatling right there. The Heavy painted so well and just basically hunkered down the middle of the map, just forcing the dualies to really commit to some of the plays that they needed to make, and that just was punished beautifully. And the big bubbler from the Decapitator, as well as just these giant swings, just being able to stop the dualies from dodge rolling in, it almost felt like that was personally a counter pick, unironically, even though the map was picked by Lakeside there.
No, it really does feel that way, because I'm thinking back, and I remember just watching the paintbrush just ride the tower, just swinging that brush, and like there was nothing they could really do from the side of Lakeside, just trying to push towards that tower at all. And it's like, yeah, you have the dodge rolls, but you're trying to close in on space, and there's no space really to go because of, one, you have the paintbrush with all the AoE, and then you have the decap also providing extra midline support, and then there's the Heavy in the back providing the long range. There's just so much range and just so much power from the side of Mountlake Terrace that all those points just whittled away, and it doesn't matter what we had. Incredible play so far early on.
Yeah, for sure. I think Lakeside invested a lot in their mobility there because dualies are some of the most mobile weapons in the game right here as well. And they do have
Hmm.
strong specials, they do have strong subs. However, they're also very fragile. They can get caught out. Their dodge roll has end lag, and that was caught out a lot of the times, not only by the splatling, but the paintbrush as well. And that just was played basically like checkmate. It was a checkmate situation when they started to panic and realize, oh goodness, like we're very fragile and we just gave them quite a lot of space. How do we stop it? And essentially, once the bubbler kind of came up, it was basically a choose. It was basically choose one way to lose or another. We either dive inside the bubble and try to stop them from getting on the tower and get hit into the paintbrush, or we stay back and wait for them to knock out right there. It was a catch-22 situation, which was answered beautifully by the members of Lakeside. Mount. Help me out here, Spicy. I'm
Oh,
just
like Terrace, yeah.
flabbergasted. I'm flabbergasted. Just done such a good job. Your name is beyond my comprehension here.
Yeah, it was just great stuff here from Mountlake Terrace, and obviously Lakeside. I like a lot of the ideas they were putting up there, especially from the comp perspective. Like, hey, maybe the super aggressive thing, it could have worked. Just have to work on a few more things, tweak a bit, and then hopefully next week is their week. They are able to come through, get on the board there in this season. And we'll wrap up the coverage here at WSSEA for Splatoon. But before we cut off, we do want to give another thank you to LandFest, because this broadcast is part of LandFest Scholastic Esports Program, a program that supports this league and many others. Since launching, LandFest has delivered over 300 broadcasts to Scholastic leagues in Washington and Indiana. We provide these broadcasts free of charge to the leagues, schools, and teams we cover, and your generous donations make this all possible. As a reminder, every $200 raised covers the operating costs for one regular season broadcast. So if you appreciate our work, scan the QR code on screen and donate today. So as a reminder, that is going to wrap up the coverage for us here with Splatoon 3 at WSSEA for week 2. But before we cut off, Neptune, is there anything you want to say? Anything you want to plug for the people here?
There's a lot of things I could say, but I assume you want to see where you can find me outside of WSSEA here. You can find me at Neptune-TV over on Blue Sky, as well as Twitter and Twitch as well. I usually am a competitive Splatoon player, but I also help run collegiate scene here for Splatoon over at CCA. But that's all for me here. Spicy, can you give us your words of wisdom, and where can the people find you?
Of course, you can find me at various socials at 2SpicyBM or at 2SpicyMK, as well as being involved with the rest of Nintendo esports here, high school, collegiate, you name it here. So that wraps up Splatoon 3 here for this week. Tomorrow we got Overwatch on the same channel, and Thursday we have Smash Ultimate. But we will be back here next week for more Splatoon, but stay tuned for the rest of WSSEA Esports coming to you later this week. Once again, I'm Spicy, joined here by Neptune. We will see you guys next time.
Take it easy.